everyone, welcome back to another video. This is the top 25 roller coasters I've ridden. This is one of the videos that I've been most excited to be able to make for you guys, and I'm finally going to be able to do it. Please don't look at the left, because my computer was having a bit of malfunction, so I just had to keep it like this, but please just don't look at the left, because that has all the coasters over there. So, well, before we get going, we have the best of the rest. So number 30 is Loch Ness Monster at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And basically, this was one of the first thrill coasters I was able to ride, and it's just very deep in my heart. Basically like that. Number 29, Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket at Universal Studios. And basically, this was my number one coaster for a bit of time. Like for a day or two maybe, because the next day or the second day after that, because I was able to ride Incredible Hulk, which you will see later in this video. But number 28 is Test Track at Disney's Epcot. Most people do not consider this a credit, but I do, because yes, indeed. But it's pretty fun. The indoor section is pretty boring, but I rode it as the OG Test Track, I believe. So, if I go back sometime soon to Disney, I might not like it as much, but yeah. Number 27, Racer 75, King's Dominion. Now, I have this lower than Grizzly, but Grizzly will be coming soon. So, but this is still really fun. I like the airtime, and the fact that it's a racing coaster is pretty fun, because, I'm a fan of NASCAR, so basically, you should already know that because of my videos before that I made, but I am. So, number 26 is Laugh Track at Hershey Park. This will definitely become a surprise to most of you, because a lot of you probably do not like this coaster if you've ridden it. But I really enjoyed this roller coaster, because I don't even know why, but I just, really loved it. But that's basically all I have to say for Hershey Park. I really not the Hershey Park, Laugh Track, but I basically just really like the indoor and basically all kind of like that. Well, it's all indoor, so basically, I like the spinning factor, definitely. I like the fact that it's indoors, and theming is kind of dumb, but that doesn't take away from the ride very much. But let's get on to the real list. Number 25 is Grizzly at King's Dominion. I said it was going to be coming soon, but it comes at the beginning of the top 25. My number 25 being Grizzly at King's Dominion. So, while I like this more than Racer 75, one, it's in the woods. Two, I like the name better. Rebel Yell was pretty good, but they changed it to Racer 75, and I don't like it as much. So, being in the woods is pretty good, having that name is pretty good. But what I like the most is that it does more than just do out and back. It has basically kind of more to it, to be honest. And that's why I like Grizzly more than Racer 75, but Grizzly at number 25. So number 24 is probably an unpopular opinion, but Tennessee Tornado at Dollywood. Now, this was pretty fun, but one, it was short, and two, I feel like it was just kind of underwhelming. I mean, sure, the versions were big, the drop was amazing under the tunnel, but I feel like it was just underwhelming to me, basically, kind of. So that's why it's down at number 24. Now up to number 23. Batwing at Six Flags America. Now you're like, why do you have this over Tennessee Tornado? Well, one, because it was my first flying coaster. Two, because I really like the inversion. The vertical loop is really intense. Also because it's pretty fast and speedy, like that. But, I like fast because I also like the NASCAR again, so. But, there are some fast coasters that I don't like, but we'll talk about that in another video that I might do about coasters that I don't like. But Batwing, I also like the theming because it's themed to Batman, and I kind of like DC, I guess, but not as good as Marvel. But anyway, to number 22, Flight of Fear at King's Dominion. Now this is a premierized launch coaster, spaghetti-o, but I really like this because one, it's indoors. Two, because it has a launch and is straight into a dark tunnel. And I also like the inversions, basically. I think it's an overall fun ride. And number 21 is Joker's Jinx at Six Flags America. Now, this should be no surprise, because I just did Flight of Fear, and this is a mirror clone of it. But I do like this better because, one, I can really see the head choppers, basically. And this one has no trim brakes, but Flight of Fear does. So it means it's able to go through its layout faster than Flight of Fear is able to. And number 20 is a really unpopular opinion, but it's Kumba at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Now, this coaster was definitely underwhelming. But like the Heartline roll, the vertical loop was pretty good. The lift hill goes through the loop, which is pretty cool, but I kind of felt like this ride could have done more, basically. It does a lot of non-inverting, but that doesn't really make it not bad. It's not good, but it just makes it less good than it could be if it was doing more than just doing some bank turns and stuff. But that's all I have to say for Kumba. And number 19 is kind of a sad one because it's Volcano the Blast Coaster at King's Dominion. Now, this is the only defunct coaster that I've been able to ride. I rode it about in 2017, and I only got one ride on it. That's why it's probably this slow. But it was really fun. So basically, I had much fun on it. And that's basically all I have to say for Volcano the Blast Coaster, King's Dominion. Rest in peace. Number 18 is Volcano. I mean, not Volcano. Calm down. Calm down, Giga. But number 18 is Incredible Hulk at Universal Islands of Adventure. Now, this was awesome when I first rode it. And it's still really awesome today, but it's not as awesome as it is because it was originally my number 1 when I first rode it. But now it's my number 18, so of course it's not as good as, well, it doesn't make it's not good, but not as good as some other ones that I've been able to ride. But anyway, number 17, Wild One at Six Flags America. This may come as a surprise, but this is actually my second favorite coaster at Six Flags America, just behind Superman Ride of Steel, which you will also see later in this video. But I really just thought this was a good ride, because the airtime was pretty insane. This was definitely one of the coasters that I had low expectations for because it looked kind of rough, but it was hauling when I rode it the first time. I think it was hauling even more the next couple times I rode it, but this was amazing compared to what I thought it was going to be. But number 16 is Tigress at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Now, this over Kumba might have been a little stretch, but this is really fun because this is my only, to this day, Premier Skyrocket 2. And this is completely unlike anything I've ever been able to ride in my entire life. And basically, that's why I like it, because it's different. So, it's really fun. I do like the version at the highest point. It's really fun. I feel like a GP right now because I'm not sure if it's an inline twist or an inline roll. Or maybe even a heartline roll. Probably stupid for you saying that, but anyway, number 15 is Montu at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Now, this is probably going to trigger you, because I feel like Montu is probably, besides Iron Gwazi, as some most say, the best ride in the park. But I don't think it's the best ride in the park. I think it's only number 3. But it was really, I rode it twice, but kind of feel like it was just a bit underwhelming. I mean, I feel like the Batwing wasn't as intense as people say it was, maybe, basically. But the vertical loop was pretty good. I feel like the vertical loop was the highlight of the ride for me. But, I mean, the first drop was second best, definitely. Maybe even number 1. I mean, I'm not sure, but the vertical loop was also pretty good. But the rest of the inversions were kind of just underwhelming besides the vertical loop. First drop is actually really good. First drop is, I love it. But I love the vertical loop probably just a bit more. But then number 14, Wild Eagle at Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Now, this is the second Dollywood coaster making it on this list after number 24, which is Tennessee Tornado. But this was definitely a big surprise. This is my first and only wing coaster that I've ridden. So definitely another thing that is new to me, that was original. But I just thought all the inversions were pretty fun, even though it didn't have like that wing over drop. It was really fun, and I absolutely love it. Now, coming in at number 13 and 12 are both sides of Lightning Racer at Hershey Park. Now, this is definitely a big surprise to some of you, because some of you think it's so slow, but it's a racing coaster again, which definitely is going to help it. And I was able to ride both sides, so that's also going to be helping. But even though it's probably a bit slow in the last half, I still feel like it was pretty good. That's why that's up at my number 13 and 12. Number 11 is SheiKra at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Now, people might say this is not as good as I think it is, but I really thought this was awesome because this is another coaster that I've only ridden one type of it. This dive coaster was pretty gosh darn fun. But some say it's underwhelming, some say it's just eh. But I think it's the best B&M in the park. Unpopular opinion, I know, but you know, I have my own opinion, so hush. Sorry. Number 10 is Great Bear at Hershey Park. Now this is my number 1 invert, even above Montu. So that's pretty interesting right there. But with such a small plot of land this coaster is taking up, basically, it does so much with it. I mean, a vertical loop, I think an Immelman after that, and then a corkscrew basically. But then it just does meanders. But I just think it's all fast paced too when it does it. And that's basically also why I really love that coaster. Anyways, number 9 is Dominator at King's Dominion. Now, this is another coaster that was for some time my number 1. But of course, it's beaten by 8 coasters now, so doesn't hold its legendary status as it once did, but it's still awesome. This is my only floorless coaster besides Firebird at Six Flags America, but that ride is, compared to all the other B&Ms I've ridden, utter and complete doo-doo. So, kind of. I mean, but Firebird ain't a bad ride, but I don't think that's an unpopular opinion again, but Dominator, yeah, that's basically all I have to say, but go to number 8, Fahrenheit at Hershey Park. And this coaster is really unique to basically anyone. There's nothing really quite like it in the entire world, basically, but vertical lift, beyond vertical drop, insane Norwegian loop. The Cobra roll is pretty good. The back-to-back corkscrews are absolutely insane. But the real one thing that made me put it up at number 8 is that insane ejector hill coming towards the brakes. Oh my goodness, it's insane. But that's why it's so far up and it makes it my number 8. My number 7 is Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Now I think this is the best coaster there, besides Iron Gwazi, because that'll obviously be the number 1 of the park. But Cheetah Hunt is really fun, definitely destroyed my expectations. And it's basically just a fun ride that they say it's for families, basically, but they say it's a family ride, but I really think this is meant for families, but I think it's a thrill coaster. And anyways, number 6 is Thunderhead at Dollywood. Now, I'm kind of stupid for this because I was not paying attention to this. I was mostly paying attention to the lightning rod at Dollywood, but because I was stupid, I didn't look at top 100 coasters in the world rankings, and people were ranking this top 100 easily. So I was completely blown away, obviously, when I rode this. And I thought this was amazing. This is the best GCI that I've ridden, but it's also, I'm pretty sure, the only GCI that I've ridden. But it's a pretty good one. I feel it's like it's a middle of the road GCI, maybe a bit bottom tier GCI, but it's gosh darn good. So I gotta respect it. So this is gonna trigger a bunch of people. I mean a bunch of people. Number 5 is Lightning Rod at Dollywood. Now people might say out of the coasters that I've ridden that this should be number 1. But let me explain. It's rough. To me, it was rough when I rode it, so that's my explanation, kind of. So, basically, Yep. I think it's rough. A popular opinion, I know, but with the new track they put on it, it should be a lot smoother. I think they made 57% of it steel. So I think 50% more of it steel. So I feel like it's gonna be a better ride when I get back to Dollywood, and then probably the next couple of years, but maybe in the next several years. But Dollywood definitely looks to be one of the best parks that I've been to when I get to ride Lightning Rod in its true potential with that new mostly steel track. But number 4 is Superman Ride of Steel at Six Flags America. Now, this was I already knew this was going to be pretty good, but it even blew my expectations away a bit. The airtime was amazing. The helixes are pretty good. The last run of airtime hills was definitely one of the highlights of the ride because it gave me pretty good airtime. But basically, the speed is also really nice. It was a bit intense, too. The first drop is amazing. Almost about 200 feet of first drop, at least, I believe. And the ride speaks for itself. Basically what I just did that whole spiel about. But number 3 is Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. Now, I rode this on its first year. Same with another coaster that's coming up very soon. But, this blew away my expectations because I never really heard about RMC because they were just up and coming. They'd only been around for like 7 years when they made this. So, of course, I was a bit skeptical to see how a hybrid coaster would work because part steel, part wood, but they really, I was happy. This was my number 1 coaster for like an hour or 2, maybe, basically. But this was a thing of beauty. This is a thing of beauty, basically. So number 2 is Candy Vodium at Hershey Park. Now, after riding this, I knew that I was gonna begin M Hypers because it is my number 2 over both RMCs that I've ridden. Over Superman Ride of Steel, Thunderhead, Treat Hunt, basically all of those coasters, even Fahrenheit, Dominator, Great Bear. But this ride is perfect. I don't have a single problem with it at all. It's fun. It's fast. I didn't ride it when it had the fountain with the chocolate fountain, but the Hershey fountain. But even though it didn't have that fountain over there, it was still pretty cool. So that's why it's up in my number 2. Now, what you've all been waiting for, my number 1 roller coaster that I've ridden is Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. Now, this ride is insane. First of all, you've got a 300-foot drop, about 90 or 91 miles per hour. That first turn is the most intense element I've ever experienced, and one of the best. And then it goes into a kind of have airtime hill. Of all of its hills have a bit of an airtime. That's an unpopular opinion again. The restraints may not be the best, but the coaster is the best that I've ridden. But it's insane. It keeps up that speed and intensity throughout the entire ride because it stays low to the ground. It doesn't do that many times. It doesn't go up in the air many times. A lot of the ride is just a bunch of low bank turns, which I really love. I think it's completely and absolutely amazing. So that is actually going to be doing it for my top 25 roller coasters that I have ridden. Now, feel free to react to this and make a video about it. I mean, just make a video about reacting to it. You're free to do it. I'm not forcing you to do it, but it'd be pretty cool if you did. But just tell me how you feel in the comments. Basically, how you feel about this ranking. This is Giga Coasters Inc. Top 25 roller coasters I've ridden. See you all later. Goodbye.